All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Global Grind Podcast, the GGP episode number 8. Here we have my good friend. We kind of met by happenstance, Malik Frederick. And I'm going to do the introduction for him like I do for all of our guests on here because my guests and the people that I vibe with are typically going to be fairly humble and undersell themselves. So I like to tell him what they're really about because I know he's not going to do himself justice. So kind of the backstory here is so Malik is a former college basketball player. Does a lot of social work right now. Currently has a basketball specialist skill set business and is now doing some strength training. And when were you at EWC?
2020 to 2023.
So in 2020, we met, and I just remember I was in the gym one day and we were shooting some hoops. We just got done working out, and all the college kids on the teams come walking in, and there was one guy that stuck out to me. It didn't matter. Like, all the teams have people that do and don't get along, girls and guys, and
For sure.
there was one guy that was kind of like the orbit that everyone wanted to be around, and he's asking questions to me and this and that. And he's just got a special kind of vibe and drive and a contagiousness of energy, I think,
sure.
that is like super obvious.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, man.
yeah, I'm like, who is this guy, right? But, naturally, I'm not a very tall guy at all, and we were doing some jumping and some dunking, and Malik is like, dude, like, what's with all that? You know, if
for
this
sure.
little white boy could do that, and so, and I've always been very into helping anybody that's willing to put in the work, and we speak that language. So, and long story short, you've ended up back here in Torrington again, which is pretty cool. So, just kind of tell us what I'd like to know a little bit. Let's start with kind of where you came from, your upbringing a little bit, your experience at EWC, and now how that's all wrapped into where you are, who you are today, and what you're about.
Thank you, Matt. So I'm from Columbus, Ohio, born and raised. Coming from a single parent home. My mom, little brother and sister. We started, in Columbus, Ohio. Grew up I was always around sports. My uncle, shout out to him, he was the one that introduced me into playing sports. Football, I started with football. That was my primary sport at first. That was, I was playing that every day, working out, training that every day. And then I think my 5th or 6th grade year, another friend of mine who was around me in football, his dad was like, you want to play basketball? And I never picked up a basketball like that. I mean, I would play around, but I didn't take it serious. And I ended up playing on the AU team with him, 5th grade. And then I became good. I just started taking it serious and started training and working out and playing AU traveler ball and stuff like that. And so I get into my 8th grade year. My mom decides to, move to Detroit, Michigan, where my aunt lives. So the summer going into my 9th grade year, we moved from Columbus, Ohio, all the way to Detroit, Michigan. From there, I don't know why, I think it was God-led, I chose to just stick with basketball. And it's crazy because I always think to myself, like, if I would have stayed in Ohio, I think I would have been playing football. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't even be right here today, like in Wyoming or whatever. So it's just so real. But I end up going to Detroit, Michigan, and end up just taking basketball like serious. I stopped. That was the only sport I focused on. And from my freshman year, I got there. I was at a rec center just shooting around, and a coach came up to me and asked me, like, where you from? And he seen I could shoot it a little bit, and he was like, I want you to come be a part of our team. So I ended up going to Detroit Cody High School in Detroit, Michigan, and played varsity all 4 years from freshman to senior year. I think I had a really good, decent year. I was 13 All-City 3 out of the 4 years. In Detroit, that means you're a top 15 player in the city of Detroit. I was All-State honorable mention twice. And then my senior year, I think I averaged 15 and 5 assists my senior year. So I had a really, really good, decent year. Kudos to my mom. She definitely was like my everything. Take me to practice, making sure I was there. So I think she kind of just sparked that drive in me of, not giving up when things are hard, and, single parent. My dad, he wasn't in my life from when I was a baby. He was incarcerated when I was, 6 months, and through my whole life, for real. And so my mom, she was really there and just pushing me and showing me how to, showing me some things. She ain't gonna be able to show me everything as a man that could do, but she was showing me a lot of things. And one thing I say she did show me is just survival and not being able to give up and just keep pushing forward.
You think that's where kind of some of your drive is?
100%.
Yeah.
Just watching my mom, make sacrifices for us as kids, me and my little brother and my little sister. Just watching her, making sure I was up for practices and pushing me to do good in school, and watching her do that with all three of her kids. It's tough, especially in Detroit, Michigan.
We all know the stats, right?
Yeah.
You're in an area, right,
Yeah.
that is, I mean, maybe one of the, roughest places.
Oh, for sure. And
then you don't have a father, right, that's in your life. And matter of fact, you know that he's a bad example, right? And so
Yeah.
the stats are that is, if we were going to flip a coin, it's most likely that you're going to be gang banging, getting in trouble, doing something bad, right? And so I think it's very interesting. I love these things of like, hey, like, my dad was an alcoholic, right? And I've always said like, hey, I have good and bad we all have good and bad examples growing up in our life, and it comes down to us to have like the discernment to be like, hey, I can use that as like, oh, I'm going to follow in their footsteps and I'm not going to be mindful about it, or I can be like, hey, like that was there to show me of like what not to do and who I don't want to be, right? And I think that filter, it's interesting to hear you like, hey, I see the drive from my mom and like you strive to be better, and so you would make those choices.
Yeah.
And then it's also very interesting that you talk about being really involved in like training for. It doesn't matter whether it's soccer, football, like it was football for you, right? But you're talking at 5 and 6 years old that you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I find that interesting.
I was really locked into like football for sure. But I could say during my upbringing and knowing that my dad wasn't in my life, I kind of was just a kid that was just always outside with my friends, playing outside. So I really wasn't the kid that really like, where's my dad? What's going on? You know what I mean? I really didn't like tune into it because I was always active. And I was blessed.
Filling your life with good things and being busy, right?
I was blessed to have so many like, families, and my uncle for sure that kept me away from that scenery of, around the wrong kids and stuff like that. I had so many families who brought me in.
You still have that male mentor.
I still have him to this day. Yeah, one of them is his name Mario. He named Mario Saravo. He back in Columbus, Ohio. He was definitely a big mentor, and till this day he still is. He's definitely a big mentor who showed me, just those little things that my mom couldn't show me as a male.
Yep.
And my uncle. And I always tell, he always is definitely just pushing me, and showing me just how to, just small things that males are supposed to show their sons and stuff like that. He was there, and he never would try to take my mom's place. He just cared and was always there to push me.
And not to interrupt Malik, but this is like, I really like the philosophy on these things, and as we keep picking up on this, there are some things that it's just, I mean, people try to get, I think, so much on like male and female equality when it's like we have to embrace the differences. Like there's no equality. Like is everyone a human being? Absolutely, but like there are things that a dad just can't do that a mom can do, right? And there are things that just hit different coming from a dad. And it's just cool how for you, like you filtered and had the foresight to be like, hey, here's the choices I do want to make, here's the things that I maybe don't want to be, and still have found like those examples and resources even if you had to outsource it outside your immediate home.
100%. And like I said, had so many people that was with me to help me get to where I'm at today. And I always tell like kids and people who ask me like, how didn't you go around that route? How were you so tuned in? First it was God, 100%, that He's the light of my feet and paved the way.
Now, kind of going on that, how did you find your faith?
So I remember it started, before I moved to Detroit, Michigan, I was in 8th grade. And usually the way I got to school was school bus or my mom was taking me. But it got to a situation where my mom had to, cars was getting broke down and stuff like that. My mom had to take my little brother and sister to school. And she couldn't take me because my school was farther than where my little brother and sister went to school. They went to school around the corner from the house. I went to school almost downtown. So that's about 10 minute drive, you know what I mean? And about an hour or more than an hour walk. So it got to a point in my 8th grade year, I was in 8th grade, and I had to start riding a city bus by myself. So my mom, like I said, shout out to her. Man, she did so much, but she knew I could do it. But she got on the city bus with me the first time, just show me the route and show me how to ride the bus. She showed me what number I had to get on, what bus number I had to get on. And the way it was set up, it was blessing because I didn't have to get on more than 2 different or 3 different buses. I had to ride one bus.
And public transport is a rough,
and out there,
thing.
especially me, I was like 13, 14 years
you're
old.
You're a boy. Yeah, you're not a
8th
man
grade,
yet.
I really didn't, I'm in the city by myself. So I remember I was always around God. My mom's a big Christian, and I was always around it. But I really didn't tune into who he really was. You know what I mean?
Hard to get it at that age without some experiences yet.
So I remember my mom gave me a small little phone, and I had music on there, and I started listening to gospel music while I'm on the bus. I remember I sat in the same exact seat right by the door, just in case, because I was, just in case I had to jump off or run or anything. I sat in the same exact seat. I remember it was a little 2-seater seat, and I sat right by the door. And my mom rode it with me the first time. And I remember I would pray every morning just to be safe going to school, just to be safe getting home from school. And I would pray and I would say my prayers and stuff. And then I would get on the bus by myself after my mom showed me the route. And I would get there. I would go to school, walk to the bus stop, the city bus, get back on. And it was crazy because it was bus number 4. I remember it vividly. I always remember it. That's the same bus I had to ride. So from there and then on, and then I met my mentor who I just mentioned. He was also my little league football coach. He's really close with God, and he became, telling me different things and showing me different things about God. And that's when I really tuned in, and I really just started, praying and understanding God has paved the way in my life for sure. And ever since then, I've been.
Certain people got a vibe or a frequency, and you start to associate it with that. And then I think the big thing too, I like to, whenever I have a guest on here, you're saying something, I like to kind of unpack it and be like, hey,
100%.
And what Malik is saying, which is I think what everyone finds out sooner or later in life, is like your fears, your struggles, your stresses are things that are going to push you that way. And like you're literally scared, right?
Yeah.
You're scared, and then when you turn and find empowerment from that at such a young age, it just becomes habit.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you're like, wow, when I focus on this stuff, good things happen in my life, and I just focus on that, right?
And then there's another story that I'll share that really helped me tune into me. I remember I was fighting my mom, and I didn't want to go to Detroit at all because all my friends were here, and I was big on football. Like I knew if I would have went to high school, I probably would have been really good at football and really had a chance to go do something in football. And I knew if me going to Detroit, I was like, it's gonna mess it up. I'm leaving all my friends here. You know what I mean? So I was fighting. I didn't want to leave. And I remember one day, I don't know the exact day, but I remember one day, me and my mom in the house, and we're sitting on the couch, and we're talking about it, and I just get this warm feeling, dog, and I just start bawling tears, like, and I tell her, I want to go to Detroit, literally. And to this day, I always tell my friends, like, it's probably one of the best decisions I made because I went there, and it brought me here, and it paved the way. And it really says, in the Bible, it says, the Lord is the light of your feet, you know what I mean? So, like, trust in Him. So that's what I've been doing. And went to Detroit, like I said, played there for 4 years, had a really good years there, and met some, definitely struggles and trials that happened in Detroit. But
got yourself on the map. Take us through now. And so like EWC, right?
Yeah.
How this was
Yep.
Going off into it's Malone, correct?
Yep.
And the experience you had there.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of funny that you ended up back this
Nah,
way, right?
so like,
kind of where you are today,
crazy.
What you're doing, and how you're helping people today.
So yeah, after I graduated high school, I signed a scholarship to come play at EWC.
Harvard on the Hill.
And I signed it straight at home. They sent me an email. They sent me the copy through my email. I printed it out at the house, signed it, and then sent it back to them. And I remember talking to my mom, like, "Mom, this is like, coming from where we come from, we don't get a lot of stuff like this." And I knew, and I remember thinking to myself, like, this is my chance to go be who I want to be. I'm getting a free education, and why not do it and come from my family? I would always, in my head, I always wanted to get back to my mom and just make her happy. And I remember I tell my friends in this all the time. Like I had people I didn't want to be like. That was my motivation to go be successful. Like I really my role models were my mom, my mentors, but like father figure role models, like my dad wasn't in my life, so I can't say I had that. So the people that I see was those drug dealers and all those people that's doing the wrong things. I didn't want to be like them, so that was my motivation.
Sometimes, and that's the thing, at a young age, right, and really at any age, I mean, because in your life, like there's this time, and speaking from myself, you know, you're trying to figure out who you are from
sure.
13 to what some people never figure it out, and that's okay, right? But like you kind of figure it out, and then like I got to this point where I'm like, wow, now like I've changed my life. Like there's things that have been tried and true in my principles and values the whole time, right? But like you evolve, right? Life changes, and then you kind of got to get on to the next chapter and reinvent yourself. Who am I, and what's the most important thing to me right now, right? And yeah, it's just kind of interesting because overall, I very much mirror your experience, which is like I may not have always known what I've wanted or what I wanted to be, but I definitely knew who I didn't want to be, what I didn't want, and that I think is the place that you got to start, especially when you're young, right? And so again, the bad examples, the struggles, the bad things, they definitely give you some guidance, right?
Yeah, especially like when you gotta survive, stretch out food. Like, only thing you want to do is be successful and grow. So this is my chance. So I took it. And my mom, she said, if you want to do this, go. So shout out to her.
And there's kids that are way worse off than Malik, right? And then there's also kids that are probably listening to that and from Torrington, like where we have it really good, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, you're worried about, you know, this and that going on with something and whatever it might be, and it's like you're just scared to get to school every day, right? Like it's totally, you know, different. And I think that's one of the things I put in perspective all the time is like, hey, it could always be way worse, and there are always people that have it worse than you, and it makes you be grateful.
Yeah, and so I signed that scholarship, man. Got on the plane, 2-hour flight, and got here, and then when I got here, it was, you know, it was definitely a culture shock just being coming from the city to out here, you know what I mean? Across the map, all the way across the map, and it was truly a blessing just to be able to, you know, have that, and I met some of my closest friends from here, and played here for 3 years. Had to go through the COVID series where we had to quarantine for a week, and I truly say I had a good experience at EWC, and then that's led me to after my last year at EWC, it was time for me to move on, and I started, you know, sending my film out and recruiting and trying to reach out to coaches, and you know, and I was blessed to get a chance to go play at Malone University, which is a Christian university. And it's in Canton, Ohio. It's like 5 minutes from the NFL Hall of Fame, 2 hours from Columbus, Ohio, and got a chance to go play at that D2. And I say from there, like you get this feeling where this is where you're supposed to be, and it's like God led. And when I got there, it was that, and I was able to meet some of the coolest people and some of the closest friends I have now today. And first year was up and down. You know, it was a new coach. Shout out to Coach Charlie Walrap. He's at Northern Illinois now. He's an assistant over there for the D1 program up there. So shout out to him for taking a chance on me. And we, you know, the first year we was up and down. We finished 500, and then that next year it was my senior year, and it was a battle. We went, you know, first year we started off with a little up and down, and it got to a point I remember vividly. We was in the locker room, and we didn't say anything in the locker room, like the players. Tough losses. It was like getting our butts kicked. It was the game before Christmas, and we got our butts beat by a team from West Virginia, and we was all in there looking around like, bro, like something got to change. And I remember one of our players, man, my dog, he was like, yo, we gotta like lock in, or like we gonna make the tournament, and only 8 teams make the tournament, your conference tournament. And it was a point where it was like flopping. It was like a close battle between us and a couple other teams, and we were like the 10. And if this team lost, we would jump to the 9th, or if we won, then this team would drop. It was crazy. And I remember we got on the stretch and we had to lock in. Our coach literally told our red shirts like, don't come to practice. Like, he made them their own schedule, and it was just us 13 guys and our coaches. And I remember we were dialed in, like film. We were watching film. We were studying. I mean, that's normal stuff you do, but we were dialed in on it. And I remember we just came together, and our coach preached to us, like, and I still say this to this day. The team that's the most together before the tournament starts or in the tournament is going to make the run. And that was us. We were together. We were stretching together. The small little thing. It was the little things.
Details, right?
It was the little things that brought us together. Like, we were, you know, going out and having fun with each other. In practice, we were talking with each other, having fun. After practice, we would stretch together, and everybody's talking. All our coaches are joining us in the stretches. We were a unit. We were one.
Everything you do together, and having you guys were always showing up, going through the motions like everybody else. And I tell kids this. I'm like, hey, everyone shows up to practice, or even there's some kids then like that are gonna do the extra weightlifting and things like that. But then like beyond that, it's like, are you focused in on every single rep that you're doing and actually giving your best effort? And like with you guys, it's really cool to go from the back of the pack, right?
Man, it was
are
tough.
we gonna make this? And then going and making a run in the tournament, and it's
As a
all
7th
about
seed.
the mindset, right? Like that was our staff meeting today. Is like, hey, we each have an individual skill set. Here's what we're each good at, and here's the expected roles of us, and so play your role, and that's what you got to do on a championship.
I'm gonna jump into that I'm gonna jump into that. So for me, my senior year, I didn't play like that. I didn't play at all for real. You know what I mean? But my coach really trusted my word and my ability, my character, and my teammates did too. And I think the biggest thing was each one of us on our team, that 13 guys, we all accepted our role. You know, mine was to be, just be very vocal with my team and my coaches and talking to the guys and sharing with my stuff like that. And they all bought into
contagious positive energy
and
that we talked about.
And every team needs somebody like that. And that was my role. And I was able to accept it.
Compliment to you, and that's one of the things I was going to say is like, hey, you're not the tallest guy. You're not the strongest guy. There's guys that are faster. There's guys that shoot it better than you, right? And you do everything well, right? But like without a doubt, the thing that stands out most about you, which is exactly why we've stayed friends. Because we've had a very short, and then it just, we pick up right where we left off, right? And why I've wanted you on my team is for the same very reason, where it's like, hey, no matter what's going on, Malik, it doesn't mean you devalue yourself or not, but it's like you always have a high self-worth, but yet hey, here's what I got to do in this season for this team, and you're willing to commit and win. I don't think it's any doubt why you won a championship.
100%. And during that whole stretch, like, we really just bought into what our coach was telling us, and we knew, like, before the season even started, I'm telling guys, like, we got the team to win it. Like, we're going to win it. And I remember during that stretch, we went in as a 7th seed, and it, like, really worked out in our favor, like, everything. Like, we went in 7th seed. We had to travel from Canton, Ohio, all the way to Kentucky, like Upper Kentucky. It's like a 6-hour trip. Play them in their territory, in their crowd, their home gym. They're always chatting to us. The fans chirping to us. Backs against the wall. And it's one game, you're done for the year.
Want to go home.
Want to go home. And we're 7th seed going to play the number 2 seed in the conference. We beat them. And then we're on the road. I remember we're watching other games, and the team, the number 1 seed is Finley. They kicked our butts during the season. They ended up losing and got kicked out. So the whole thing got switched. So we had to go to Hillsdale, Michigan. So the last 14, that's where it was hosted at, and we played there. And Hillsdale kicked our butts. We had to play Hillsdale. They kicked us, but on our senior night, that team Hillsdale beat us on our senior night, and we had 8 seniors, and we just took that took it to the heart, and we went in and beat them in their home gym. And then the championship game, shout out to my boy, man. Our point guard, our point guard, that's one of my closest friends to this day. He straight dog, tough. Like, probably one of the best point guards I ever seen play or play with. You know what I mean? And he really took it in, and our whole team, not just him, but he was a big part of it. But our whole team was just dogs, and we beat them, and then went into the championship and ended up winning it all. And it just hit a lot of us different, like, because we knew what we did and had to get there. Like, we believed in ourselves. We really tapped into what our coach was telling us. Our coaches, all our head coach and our assistant, we tapped into what they were teaching us, and we tapped in with ourselves, and we blocked out all the noise from whoever it was, and we just really dialed in. And like they said, the team that's together the most will come out victorious, and that was us. And we went into hosted the trophy, got rings, and we ended up going to Springfield, Illinois to go play in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and ended up falling short. But it was a great year to go off with. And then after I graduated, I graduated my bachelor's in psychology, and I wanted to do stuff in that field. Some things was going. I was just working with my friends and painting and making some money on the side. And I remember my host parent, shout out to them, which led me back here, the Brooks family.
Michelle, very generous family.
Michelle, Evan Brooks, man, and Kylie Brooks, Hayden Brooks, Michelle and Evan, man. Michelle actually came down to my graduation from Malone.
And just so a lot of local people will know, but and other colleges probably do this, but a host family is essentially, you know, someone like Malik's coming from the inner city, right, and you're in this small little town with 6,000 people in the sticks, right?
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of good things here and stuff, but like it's just different where you're from. And so what these guys do is they have a family that helps them with meals, and sometimes if they need a place to stay, or just doing things to where, you know, like they're not just on their own as an athlete and on an island. So it's a really cool thing that EWC does.
Yeah, and she was actually my host parent my last 2 years, I want to say. And my last 2 years, and just became very, very close to me. And I look at her, you know, and she came to my graduation at Malone and met my mom for the first time, and really gelled in with her. And when Kylie came down and, you know, visited my family, and they were there, and she mentioned like she knows some people in the type of field, and, you know, social work being in the psychology field, all being big fields in Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, is really, you know,
and
needed.
They're an awesome family, but I will say this: not every host family is going to go to the graduation of their former kid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they either flew or had to drive 8+ hours, right?
Yeah.
So, and like that, they're awesome, but also I'm telling you, this is a testament to how they feel about Malik, which is how everyone feels about Malik.
Yeah, no, her first time in Ohio, and she, you know. So then she hit me up when I was back in Columbus. She hit me up like, "Hey, how's your, you know, search for a job?" Because she always would check in on me and see how I'm doing. And I told her, and she like, "Well, I know somebody." And then number 34 reached out to me, and I reached out to him. We started connecting, and I prayed on it, and I was like, you know what? I'm taking the risk, just like I took the risk to come here to play college basketball. And I think it was probably one of the best decisions I made.
How do you make a decision like that where, you know, you're at a crossroads, at least for you? What's your process where you're like, hey, like this is kind of life defining to some degree, right?
Yeah, this is not for college basketball. This is for like my adulthood life. This is for life.
Yeah, like how do you go like, hey, is this something that I want to do or should do? What's your process?
Well, first of all, I knew I always wanted to work with kids, and you know, give back, and, you know, so I knew that was something that I want to do. So when that job was presented to me of that type of field, I knew, okay, this
got your attention, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then the rest of it was just me praying and listening to God, and, you know, trusting my intuition of God throughout my whole life, showing me and preparing me to what I've been going through in my life, and He always being there for me, and, you know, putting me in these places, opening these doors for me throughout my whole life, and me trusting Him, and, you know, and following Him. I think it was that was it. I prayed on it, and I said, okay, you know what, I'm doing it. I truly feel God is leading me here, and I did. And like I said, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And then I came up and, you know, ended up taking a job as the assistant coach at Torrington High School. Shout out to the Blazers. And I'm assistant for the boys varsity team, and freshman head coach for the boys team also. And one of the probably the best decisions I made. The opportunity that I got here, just coming back to Torrington, it kind of lets you know, like, this is where I was supposed to be the whole time. Even when I came to college, like, God brought me back here for a reason, and me being able to get back to all these kids that I met, and it's so real because a couple of the kids that I'm coaching, when I played at EWC, it made me sound old. It's crazy, but when I played at EWC, these kids were in 7th, 8th grade coming to watch me play at EWC. And then now that I came back, now I'm able to coach these kids. It's just different.
And so they got like an open gym up at EWC, and there's really no other gym for the high school kids to go to, like, this closed down. We don't have a Y, we don't have a rec or anything like that, which, you know, like, that's fine, but that's where everyone goes, right? And you guys are always putting in work up there on your own time, and so they got network with Malik, and of course you're looking up to the guy who's playing at college and whatnot. But yeah, it's a crazy come back around. Now you're here able to coach him, right?
Yeah, and it was my first year coaching. This past season is my first year coaching, and being able to come back and, you know, have the community, I think that's something that's really big here. The community here is just, you know, is people here are very with you. They rock with you. If they see that you're trying to make a change, they're gonna be on. They're gonna ride that train with you, and that's something that's really big here. The support system is crazy. But the Brooks family, like I said, man, they have done so much in my life. And don't get me wrong, I had so many people in my life who have, but, you know, shout out to her, just be able to come back here and give me a chance to, you know, start and build here. You know what I mean? And
if you're in a small town, or even if you're in the city, if you don't describe your kind of inner little network and community like that, it's not the dirt that you live on. It's not the where you're at.
Yeah.
It is, you are just around the wrong people, because there are bad people and good people everywhere. So that's a filter you should use, because he's very empowered by the people he's around. But it's because of the people that you're around, right? Like, so just check that. Don't blame your small town, because I've lived in a couple different ones, and I've heard people complain each way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like, hey, like, you make your reputation, and you ultimately choose who you spend your time around. So anyways, talk to us a little bit. About kind of what you're doing now and how you're helping kids with coaching, and I want to know about your own business too.
Yeah. So now, like I said, I'm coaching with the high school, and then I work with number 34 with kids. So I'm in all the schools, and
number 34, for people that don't know, is
it's a wraparound program. We work with kids and families who's Goshen County, or sometimes we get people out of Goshen County. And we work with families to help be that support for them. We help with different stuff like, in-home training. Parents might need parenting skills. Kids might need skills at home or in school. Learning how to, say no, learning how to accept no, different type of social skills. We help with that.
These are probably typically families that are maybe a little bit less fortunate or need some help, or have some
single parents, stuff like that. Some kids have been through a rough time, and
you're maybe seeing some of the, tougher things in Torrington, right?
100%. And so we help with that. So I'm there doing that with them, and then coaching at the high school. I'm in all the schools, so I was like, I want to just give back. And a lot of kids, there's a lot of hidden talent here, right? And I'm like, I can help these kids. So I started my training program. Malik Frederick player development, and we
shameless plugs.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. And we I train kids.
No, give them your TikTok handle. I'm always big on that. Make sure people know where to find you. Real quick.
Malik Frederick player development is my TikTok handle.
Okay.
And then Malik Frederick develop skills is my Instagram handle.
Awesome.
We train. I probably got about 15, 16 kids now that I'm training. It's growing as I speak. And we just work on different skills depending on the kid's skill level. We train shooting, how to shoot, how to dribble, how to take the right, make the right layup, left or right hand, the footwork with it.
Meeting kids where they're at in their skill level,
100%,
right?
100%. And college kids, I have college kids now, and I have kids from ages all the way down to from 4th grade, 2nd grade.
So no one's out of your realm.
We start small and we build up, and then I kind of just build from there. And we train, like I said, we get after it. I show them different stuff, but as I'm training, something that I always like to do, as I'm training these kids on the court and I'm with them, I always try to give them some type of life lesson and some type of, mentorship on the court or just in life. I think that's big. Like with my college kids, I'm telling them, hey, build that routine. Start building that routine going to college. You're going to have it in life and in general. You got a lot going on in college. You got a lot of people in your ear. You're listening to your coach. That's adversity coming at you. You got your academics, your teachers, making sure your grades are on top. That's adversity coming at you. And then you got stuff that maybe coming presented at you from home. That's coming at you, So you got all this stuff that's built around you that's coming at you while you're in college.
Social circles,
yeah, so you have to have a balance. You have to have a balance and a routine to,
filter out what do I really got time for, right?
Exactly.
And where do I want to be, and I got to match up the things I'm spending my time doing with who I want to be, right?
And in my high school kids,
which is hard when you're that age.
Yeah, no, for
it's
sure.
Hard at any age.
It really is. It took me a while to get it in my high school, and I still don't have it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm still trying to learn the routine.
Constant work in progress.
Yeah, and my high school kids, I think for them it's just high school, enjoy it. But now you're going into that different world. So them, same thing. Build a routine. You're going to college. I understand that. Understand how to be a college athlete, and how the recruitment works and stuff like that. Knowing what school to go to, knowing
things you've all been through.
100%. So I'm just giving back, and that's been going very well. I have a lot of support. The family, like I said, the family here. That's one thing. Being a coach at Torrington High School, that I said to, I was telling some of the families, like, yo, at my high school, when we travel or go to a game, our parents would come. But we didn't have our families coming, like the whole family. Like these families are traveling to these games. Some games are in 3-4 hours away.
Wyoming is stretched out.
Yeah, it's
right?
crazy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like when I was at AWC.
And see, we all think that's normal growing up in small towns. You're like, man, that's not where it was like where we're from.
When I was at AWC playing, I'm like, we got a game in up North Powell against Northwest. and it's 7 hours away, but we're still in Wyoming. I'm like, bro, it's crazy. So like these families in high school are traveling with their kids, and they're bringing meals. They're making sure these kids are eating. And they're they're really together. They're really tied in. And that's something that's really I really take pride in. I think as as a coach, as a player, you live in it, but you really don't see how valuable that is. Because all you're thinking about is get on that bus and going to go play. Mm-hmm. But as a coach, I think now that I'm on the outside of it, like I said, I'm going into my second year as a coach, but
parents do a lot for these kids, right? Yeah.
I think that's really big, and I love that about being like I said, but the community here, I just want to say, is really, really valuable. I'm starting to do camps. I'm going to try to do another camp here with my stuff that I'm doing.
When's that coming up tentatively, you think?
I haven't got the dates and everything going because I know school's around the corner. So it may be a next year thing that I do, next year when school's going to start up next year, back to school camp, you know what I mean? Because, the time frame is crazy. Yep. Not saying I can't do it, but...
We got a few things going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on. So. But I think, like, the biggest thing that I'm taking is, I'm a year out of college. I'm still learning in adult life. I'm trying to build my life, you know what I mean? But I think it's taking it day by day, really tuning in with God and, really just building that routine for myself and understanding that, you waking up just a blessing, you know what I mean? So I think just taking it day by day and being able to give back to these kids is something that I really tune into, and being able to, share my experiences and at the same time build who I'm trying to be as a person in life and, get to where I want to get to. I think me coming here is probably the best decision I made to start that. And right now I am. So yeah, no, it's just been truly, truly fun, coming here and learning these kids and in the field I'm working in, just learning that. It just lets you know.
It's cool to have you kind of look up in the sky or like talking about it. It's just crazy, like full circle.
It is, bro. It's real. It's fire.
Yeah,
it's
and
fire.
It's awesome because I think like this is that language that we've spoke together where it's like it's different for everybody, but it's like you start to recognize where it's like, man, yeah, I can't explain it either. Like you just feel like you don't always know where you're supposed to be, but you just have kind of found your way, feeling it through by listening to the right things and focusing on the right things, and then you feel like you're on a divine, purposeful path. Yeah. And it's such a great way to live.
No, for sure. And that's something that I've really been trying to like tune into.
It's hard to explain to people too.
No, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It takes work to get there.
Like 100%, bro. Taking care of like one thing that I'm really big on right now is like my mental health is in my body. It's just making sure that, I'm writing down scriptures, doing Bible study, or reading a book.
You don't got to go to school anymore, right? And like that stuff that's not in school anyway, but like it's like your self-study. Making
sure my mental health and my health and my body, the foods I'm eating is one thing that I'm, really prioritizing. Because like in college, it was easy because our coaches were chewing that. You had somebody telling you every day. You had somebody.
Now it's on you.
Now it's on you. So you really have to really tune in with your inner self and figure out what you want, how do you want your body to look. This is a conversation
we had with an athlete here recently, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, like we can help you along, but like at some point, like, and that's what our gym is about too. I told my my team this morning, I'm like, we are not here to try to make people feel good, and we just know like, hey, pay into us and we're going to hold your hand. It's like, because I know that true change comes from having the skill set individually, and it's mindset, it's physical strength, it's putting the right things in your body, it's all of it, and learning, hey, here's what matters and here's what isn't. But like knowing that like if you fail, it's on you, and if you succeed, it's on you too. Mm-hmm. Like you can't blame anybody. Like
you can't make no excuses. My mentor told me when I was 16 years old, I was in his house, I remember this vividly. He said, you 16 right now, right? You'll be 25 here soon. How do you want your life to look?
Isn't that the truth?
It's time to start locking in. So ever since then, that's been me. I've just been having tunnel vision and really just trying to adapt to myself. And I'm still gonna have fun and be who I am, young, still have fun. But at the same time, you gotta know that you're still trying to build a life for yourself. So I'm just like I said, I'm just truly blessed to be where I'm at. And every day I'm learning, and I'm being a sponge, asking people, and trying to keep going. But at the same time, like, stuff's going to happen. Every day is not going to be perfect. But at the same time, like, for me, my philosophy right now is just taking it day by day, tapping into my inner self and having fun with it and enjoying life, traveling. I've been traveling with some of my college friends and stuff like that. Just went to one of my friends' wedding, who I played with at college, in college basketball. So those little things like that you get to do is something that you cherish, you know. So that's just been me. And then yeah, we're getting ready to wrap up our summer workouts and stuff like that for basketball at Torrington High School. New gym, get a new gym, whole new gym. So first game of the season, everybody better be there. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be fun, and I'm excited for this year for our guys this year. So. I'm excited.
Overall, if you want to get on that divine path, I think for everybody it's very hard to explain what that's like. But just kind of putting in a little bit of what Malik's talking about, it's all these and he's talking about his championship experience, right? It was, you had these guys that obviously had the talent because they ended up winning, right? Or performing at the last in their conference, and they, just mentally, the mental effort and kind of just like the precision and focus that you have that kind of puts things together. And that's what you have to have in your life. And it's these little details that you think are insignificant. It's the people you're around. And I'm a big Pareto principle guy, so it's 80-20. 80% of the people you're around are probably going to be pretty negative people, right?
Yeah.
And to where 80% of the food and like we do have stuff that's all the convenient things that are forced into our face are made to make money off of us, not be good for our health, make us kind of pay into the system, I think, and maybe not feel good, right? And it all takes work, right? Like all the things, like there's no, get rich quick pill, there's no get strong quick pill, there's 100%. No feel fulfilled purpose pill. It's like you got to watch what you eat, you got to make sure, like you said, get outside, have good experiences, be grateful,
walking,
pursue spirituality in your own way, and that kind of transitions. It might be meditation, it might turn into God later, it might be more of it doesn't matter, right? That's a different path, I think, for everyone. I do think you all kind of find the same place eventually, but we'll just leave that there, but overall it's these little small things. And the thing that I have, I've taken a lot from different people, right? But one thing that is a trademark of my own that I developed is the 3 pillars. And I say it's physical, mental, and spiritual strength. And that's what's underground of your household. And no one, like, especially when you get out of school, work is going to be so distracting. And you're going to have kids and bills and all this stuff going on. And, like, you making time to pursue your physical fitness, watching what you're eating, like, trying to have discernment and, like, slow down and use your intuition and, talking to God or whatever that is to make your decisions and kind of letting that lead you. And that kind of leads us to what has kind of transpired with us is like, hey, now you're on the team with the compound. We're going to go ahead and bridge in some strength training. So first off, for the athletes, because when you were at AWC, that was not something that you'd ever done. You were a skills only guy, and we both grew up small, and it made a huge difference for me, and you were able to see that. And like how you're doing with these kids, it was like, hey dude, I've been doing this for a while, and obviously we could really relate, because nobody said that we didn't work hard, no one said we weren't talented enough. It was like, y'all are little. Right?
Always underdog.
So what got you started weightlifting? Because you used to look like your wrists, on your upper, and you came back, and I'm like, man. And I'm like, no wonder, and you talked about your college, because this wasn't something that was forced at EWC, right? And that's okay, that happens at these JUCOs, but you went to a program and you're like, man, like what you were saying, Maddie, and then whatever, like it all clicked. And it was still your own doing. It wasn't just like, oh, I followed the team program. Like you got motivated for yourself. So how did that help basketball? How has that changed your life? And what can we expect you to be offering? And what's your goals for working together here at the compound?
So first, when I was really tuning in, was I know I had to get stronger. My boy back in Columbus named Gino, actually my mentor's son. I started working out with him every day.
Why'd you know you had to get stronger?
Just off the fact that, like, heart over height, like you gotta have heart. But I knew that the position that I was playing, point guard, just being a pest, you had to have it in the weight room. Right, you didn't want to get bullied around. You didn't want to
especially when you're stepping up to that next
level.
Yeah,
especially going to D2, you're gonna be playing guys 6'6", strong, Aki, athletic.
And you can't change that, right? But what could you change? So it's again A, focusing on what you can control, and B, also Malik and I think can relate to this. We felt weak and little, right? And like when you feel that way, you got one choice. I could be mad and sad about it and go play your video games at home, or you could do something about it.
Yeah, like I always had a crazy work ethic. I always worked out. I always lifted and stuff like that. And then I really started tapping in, like I said, with him, and I started lifting crazy, getting bigger and stronger. And then when I got to college, when I got to that D2 for real, is when our weight training, our schedule was, we was in the gym 3 to 4 times a week.
It's very obvious that's an important part of your guys' regimen, right?
We had spent an hour and a half on the gym floor, and then right after that we break down and then straight to the weight room. And we was lifting and eating the right. I mean, it was tough to eat in the right foods in there, but the biggest thing, we was in the weight room. You had to be strong no matter what. You got to be physical and stuff like that because basketball is a physical game. And the mental part of it is basketball is 90% mental, 10% physical, right? So us in the weight room is training our mental at the same time.
Every sport, everything in life.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So so
are you saying it kind of helps your confidence and like how you view yourself?
Yeah, 100%. That's right, and definitely, just wanted to be, strong, and built, and it just gives you some type of confidence that that you're in the gym, you're lifting, you're doing this, and it just became a placebo effect for me. I just became very, very tuned into my inner self and wanted to work out, and I always did push-ups at the crib, at the house with my mom, and dancing was some, it's a form of working out. You sweating. I was a big time dancer, and I think
that's the hardest thing to give anyone. I think is like for you, and I was the same way. Like I had focused on my work ethic on other things, and it was developed like. I don't even know if I had to develop it. It was so natural.
That's
right?
me, yeah, natural.
And it's hard, like, and I don't know, hey, can that be developed? Or is that just you got it or you don't sort of thing? I'm still not sure on that. But it's so easy for you because all it needed to be is like, hey, Malik, instead of juicing this lemon, like, this is the one that you got to do. And as you had went through, it's like, obviously, this is the thing that's going to give you the most bang for my buck.
For sure. And like I said, if you want to be a college athlete, you got to be in the weight room for sure. I mean, there's a lot of kids out here who just have it naturally. I mean, kind of me, if I do like 100 push-ups, you can start seeing a little bit, but I was like, okay, what if I turn this into something else? Well, how would I look? And then, I just really tapped into just, grinding in the weight room and then transition that over to the basketball court. I became stronger. All my skills on the court became very, very much, to a T, to like 100% way better just because I was tuning into the weight room. Like
it makes you so much more mindful and
with your
body,
my range.
Right?
Like for example, what got me my scholarship is my shooting. I could shoot the ball very, very well at a high level, but me being in the weight room extended my range. Now I'm shooting deeper threes. Now I'm shooting
with the same or less effort, and that's what people a lot of times think
consistently.
Like, oh, it's gonna up my power output. Like yes, but it's like now you're so much more economical, right? So for sure.
And I became very more consistent of shooting at a deeper range at a college level. NBA level, and it was very consistent for me. So I'm like, and that's because I was in the weight room getting stronger. So now I can get the ball there at a good rate. On the court stuff, that's gonna take care of itself. And then just eating the right foods and being in shape and stuff like that will also help. I became faster, and then mentally, I just became more wiser with stuff just in the weight room. So doing that stuff in the weight room just helps you so much with your body and mental. And I think that was me, and ever since now that I'm getting older, I'm still learning. I'm not saying I have it all figured out, but I'm still learning how to take care of my body, what to eat, and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I'll eat a cheeseburger every now and then for sure, but other than that, I'll try to eat the right stuff, the right fruits, and I think truly, I was just talking to one of my friends like that, talking to my friends about this. Winning that championship for me, at Malone really like just brought so much to me, like that, showing that you can do anything you put your mind to. You can come from the bottom and you won. It's something that a lot of kids want to do.
That's kind of the pinnacle dream, right? When you got into basketball as a young kid, it's like you want to win a championship at some level, and you were able to do it on your last hurrah, right?
And in high school I was close. Like in high school I went to the district championship and lost. Then I went to the district championship in high school 2 out of my 4 years, and was very close to winning the championship and didn't do it. So when I got there, and for it to happen on my last year in college as a senior, and the way it happened, it was just a surreal moment, and it was truly blessing. And those guys that I did it with,
almost like it was God's plan.
No, for sure. Those guys that I did it with became my very, very, very close.
It does create a bond, right? Because like it doesn't mean that you guys didn't have your differences and different things, 100%. But like if you're, that's the thing I think is a big thing. When you have won a championship in anything, I don't care if it's pickleball, like whatever, right? It's like you, especially in a team environment like that, like you really know just collectively how everyone's consciousness has to come together for like the group of the team, and that's how you form like that.
Yeah, and
it's something that's just something you can feel.
And we always going to talk about it, and we all had our differences, and I remember, so those, it just made you want to, go harder and more and stuff like that. it was a big accomplishment for us. So yeah, no, I think.
What are you looking forward to bridging
Yeah.
your skill set
Yeah.
and the weightlifting into the gym there? Because I think you offer like a similar perspective than me, but I think you definitely speak to them gym rat types,
Yeah.
right? Which is awesome, or to those gym rat types. And then what are you looking forward to just as far as like the gym, but then also what that offers just the community as a whole?
Just being able to come in here and just show I think first starts mentally. You got to be able to want to do it. So just being able to show these kids that you got to have that drive to do and get in the weight room and transform your body and then go from there. Because I think that's going to be the biggest thing when you get a kid in here and he comes and starts lifting and you see that transformation and he's happy and it makes you happy. You know what I mean? So I think just being able to come in here and really tune in how to lift the right way, your footwork, how to stretch, like I was saying, just that mindset of pushing, whatever skill we're doing, whatever weight training we're doing. I think just with the community, and tying it into like my training, these kids getting that whole combination of in the weight room and on the court, it'll these kids that really want to go. It might give these kids a boost. Oh, like I can go play college basketball, or I can go play whatever sport they choose, but just being able to see these kids' faces when they're in the weight room and they get bigger and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest part. And
It's so important to feel like, hey, there's no politics. I can't make an excuse that my parents this or this coach that or whatever. It's like that's what I love about the weight room. It's very similar to like wrestling and track.
Yeah.
And I've told team sport parents this all the time. I'm like, I don't care if your kid's the most talented or the least talented. If you want to be completely quote unquote happy or have no issues through school, don't play a team sport then, right? Because that's just the way it's going to work. And go do track or go do tennis or go do wrestling, right? Because you either get across the line first or you pin the kid first or you don't. Like there's no politics in that. But with these team sports, it is what it is, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's just like mentally prepare and expect that. But I'm like you, I love the weight room because it's like what's your excuse now? It's what you put in is what you get out, and I think that is such a valuable lesson to lead into life and a habit to build before you get a wife or a husband and children and family and bills and an obligation where it's like, hey, your 9 to 5 is taken up now, and you think you're going to go ahead with all these things and have the discipline to fit in those little windows to build yourself, right? When you're trying to do it at 30, 40 years old instead of 16, right?
For sure. No, yeah, I think that's the best part about it, just being able to tap into your inner self and get in here and start from there.
Yeah, there we go. The simple things. Malik, I think we'll close on that.
Yep.
Awesome. Somebody who again, I think my biggest thing is I am not a real big you can coach it, if you haven't done it guy. I'm really and sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I do think it helps so much if it's like, yeah, I understand how it works and why it works, the X's and O's of sports or like all these different things,
sure.
but yet you have the experience and you also have the current pursuit right now, which I think is just super huge. And I think it's a huge gold mine for kids and parents that are able to recognize that because I will say this, and I would be very cautious. I'm very cautious about who I spend my time around, and I'd be even more cautious and use a lot of just being very mindful about who I let my children spend time around. And if I had a son, you would be the type of guy that I would want him to be around.
Respect,
and
appreciate that.
I really mean that.
Appreciate that.
So anyone that kind of respects how I would look at that stuff, I really will say you're doing yourself a big service by letting your son or daughter be around this guy.
Appreciate that, dog.
My man.
Yep.
Great to have you.
Yep.
And let's get to it.
Sir, man.